Xiao He kept poking the sand with a bayonet, as if searching for something important. Suddenly, a small sand mound appeared nearby. Xiao He excitedly shouted. Everyone heard and got even more excited, dropping what they were doing and running over. They first cleared away the dirt on top, then removed the wooden board, revealing an ancient well underneath. The sergeant picked up a stone and threw it down. A dull sound came from below. The sergeant told Xiao He to go down and take a look. Xiao He climbed down the well wall to the bottom. There was nothing but sand here. Just as Xiao He was feeling disappointed, he seemed to hear the sound of dripping water. Upon checking, there were indeed water droplets. He quickly caught them with his palm and excitedly asked for a container to be thrown down. An anxious comrade threw down a bottle cap. Xiao He carefully poured the water droplets from his palm into the cap. After a cup was thrown down, Xiao He poured the water from the cap into the cup. Then, he licked a bit of the water droplets from his hand. After waiting for several hours, they finally collected 2 full cups of water. Once Xiao He was securely tied below, the people above carefully pulled him up. The sergeant kept reminding them to go slower, afraid that even a single drop might spill. Once the water was pulled up, everyone was overjoyed. The sergeant looked at the 2 cups of water in his hand, which were only enough for each person to have 3 sips. Although 3 sips might only wet their throats, everyone drank with great enjoyment, feeling it was the sweetest water they had ever tasted. Xiao He's father and grandfather were both soldiers. Before the war, he was a veteran of over 20 years. The French soldiers missed the food from their hometown dearly. Because his relatives and friends were killed by the Nazis, he joined the fight to avenge them. While everyone was chatting, a Nazi vehicle approached. They quickly set up a strategic deployment. Once everyone was in position, they waited for the enemy to approach. Fortunately, there were only 6 of them. As a few got out of the car and advanced, someone suddenly noticed footprints on the ground and realized something was wrong. They hurriedly sought cover, but it was too late. With a shot from the sergeant, all of them were taken down. In a short time, only 2 soldiers were left hiding behind a strict cover, not daring to move. They easily captured the 2. Both the water bottles on their car and those on the soldiers were already empty. Obviously, the Nazis came looking for water too. The sergeant wanted to know the direction of the main German forces. Neither soldier was willing to reveal it. Seeing the soldiers' chapped lips, Sergeant Chen ordered his men to bring a jug of water. In the scorching desert, the Nazi soldier's lips were cracked and his throat was parched. He hadn't had a drink of water for several days, yet he still refused to disclose the direction of the main forces. The sergeant poured water into a cup, and the soldier swallowed hard. After taking a satisfying sip, the sergeant poured the rest onto the ground. The soldier anxiously rubbed his hands together. In less than 2 minutes, the soldier spilled everything. There were about 50 Nazis planning to head to Alamein to encircle the Allies. Now, they hadn't had water for several days. The 6 men who came out this time were a water-seeking advance team. After getting the details, the sergeant handed the water to the soldier. The soldier eagerly picked it up and started drinking. Unfortunately, the well had dried up, and not a single drop of water could be drawn. Fortunately, they had already collected several jugs. Considering that the Nazis would soon attack, they all thought it best to retreat quickly. However, the sergeant had a different opinion. He wanted to stay and protect the well. Although we knew the well was dry, the Nazis did not. Since they desperately needed water, they would surely fight for it. This way, we could hold them off and buy time for the Allies to gather at Alamein. If we could hold them off for a day, the course of the war might change. The disparity in numbers felt overwhelming. After all, there were over 50 of them, and only 9 of us. The sergeant shared his idea with the soldiers. Those who wanted to stay could stay, and those who didn't could leave. Everyone was free to choose. What were our chances of winning? About 1%. In the end, everyone chose to stay. Finally, they told the 2 captives to go back and inform the main forces that we wanted to trade water for food, not war. After that, they released the 2 men. As soon as they left, they began strategic planning again. Next, it's definitely going to be a tough battle. In the video of returning to the troops, just after reporting, the information was shot away by the major. Since there's water in the well over there, we can just go directly to fetch it. The man is planting landmines in the desert. He places the landmine flat in the dug hole, puts a small steel rod in the middle, covers it with a lid, and then twists it a few times. Finally, he buries the landmine with soil. Just as they finish preparing, a large number of Nazis arrive. Once the first landmine explodes, everyone opens fire to counterattack. Tanks also come out from behind. Both sides engage in fierce combat. Although there are few people on this side, they have the protection of cover. The other side, however, becomes like sitting ducks, only to be slaughtered. Soon, the first wave of attack is repelled. By this time, the ground is already littered with Nazi corpses. A scout reports that one person here has sacrificed themselves, yet still maintains a fighting posture. Then, the Nazis come over with a white flag to negotiate. Even though they just suffered a defeat, the Nazi major remains very arrogant. "Where is your leader? Let him come over and negotiate with me. Our leader likes to freshen up after a battle." The officers here start their performance. One person pours water in front, while another washes on the side. In fact, all the water is being poured into the bucket below. The onlookers swallow hard. Then arrogantly says, "Aren't you going to trade water for food? If you surrender, I can let you leave with enough food and water. Otherwise, I can take you down in an instant." Well, since that's the case, I'm changing the terms of the deal. 1 cup of water for 1 gun, 1 pot of water for 1 mortar. Either agree or walk away. The negotiations end in disagreement. The returning German troops launch a second fierce attack. They suppress with mortars in front, while the main force flanks from the side. Seeing this in the video, they quickly rush over to stop it. At this time, the unattended pilot prisoner seizes the opportunity to escape. He wants to tell the Nazis that there's no water here at all. Italian Fulu rushes out to inform Zhang Kai but is shot into a sieve by the Nazis. Zhang Kai originally wanted to shoot down the pilot with 1 shot, but he quickly ran out of sight. Xiao He quickly chased after him. After tackling the pilot to the ground, he presses his face into the sand, suffocating him. The German troops are repelled for the second time. When Xiao He returns, the retreating Nazis spot him and aim their guns at Xiao He again. After a while, Xiao He was also riddled with bullets. Even though he was lying on the ground, he still managed to raise the cross medal in his hand, indicating he had killed the pilot. Then, Xiao He lay on the ground. After this battle, 3 more people were sacrificed on this side. The Nazi soldiers were also complaining bitterly, as they no longer had the energy to fight. The major had no choice but to come forward to negotiate again. This time, a French soldier stepped forward. The major arrogantly said, "If you provide water, we will stop attacking." "I don't believe you at all. Exchange weapons for water, otherwise, no deal." At this moment, the major was still very arrogant. While speaking, the French soldier directly drew a knife, restrained him, stabbed the major in the side, and quickly dealt with the entourage with a gun. On the way back, the French soldier was unfortunately shot dead by the Nazi soldiers. The Nazis were leaderless and began to bombard this side wildly, even collapsing the roof. Soon, there were only 2 people left on this side. After the bombing ended, there was a commotion in the distance. They thought the enemy was launching a full attack, but unexpectedly, a miracle happened. The soldiers raised their guns above their heads. They were exchanging guns for water. The sergeant told them to leave the guns here and they could drink as much as they wanted over there. They thought they could laugh at them, but unexpectedly, after the bubbles cleared, there was indeed water in the well. Then, the sergeant collected all their guns. The Nazis were satisfied and drank their fill. However, all these hundreds of people became prisoners. At this time, a few more vehicles arrived. They thought it was the Nazis again, but when they got closer, they realized it was an Allied patrol. The patrol was also shocked to see this. Unexpectedly, 2 people had captured hundreds. The patrol told them that because they held up the Nazis here, the forces at El Alamein had already regrouped and launched a counterattack. Although 7 out of 9 people were sacrificed, their sacrifice was very worthwhile. The movie, Sahara, ends here. A World War II film with a runtime of 159 minutes. Although it seems like an anti-German drama, overall it's quite good. If you're interested, you can check out the original film. Alright, if you want to see more great movie reviews, please follow me. Bye bye.
Yeah.